Now in session 2, we are going to see circle command, rectangle command and slot command. To start with commands and sketches, we will activate the plane first. We will activate our front plane and say sketch. Now after activating the sketch, I will select the circle command and draw one circle here. I will put up the value as 68 diameter. If the circle is complete 360, it will by default take diameter, and if it's partial circle then it will take radius. So I have given here diameter, and the circle is defined only by giving one diameter as it was drawn from origin itself. We will again draw one circle here at its side and give it relation as equal. So for giving relation, I will press hold Control key, select both the circles and say as equal relation at left side. Now both the circles are equal, but you can see the color difference. This circle is showing in black color and this one is in blue color. It indicates that this color is underdefined or circle is underdefined. Now so as to define the circle, you have to apply the relation here, or you can apply one line also here, but I will go with relation. The relation will be horizontal so as to make the orientation of both the centers horizontal. So I will select both the centers now and say them as horizontal relation. Now this vertical movement is locked, but still horizontal movement is on. Now to lock this horizontal movement also, we will go with smart dimension. Select both the centers, apply one dimension here as 100 mm. Now both the circles are completely defined. Now we will see the second type of circle, that is perimeter circle. In this circle, as the symbol indicates at left side, that we have to give 3 points here. The first 2 points will be by default tangent to 2 selections, and third point will be for placement. So I'll start with circle, perimeter circle, and I'll select first point on left circle, second point on right circle, and put up the position by third point. Now all these points are given and circle is completed. So we'll put up the smart dimension value here. I'll say it as 84 diameter, means the radius will be 42, half of the diameter. Now for trimming the circle, I'll go on trim command and drag over the circle. Now the circle is been trimmed here. You can place this value here, as it will not show an arc here if you put it here like this. So you have to place this value in this position. Now you can see the arc has been developed here. Again we will go with the same command, perimeter circle. Click on the 2 circles to get tangency on 2 circles. Then third point will be for positioning the circle. It may take some time. I will click the third point here and put up the value here. Again I will put the same value here, 84 diameter, and trim the extra circle. Also trim the internal portions here. Now you can see one profile has been created here, and while clicking on the circles you can see the relations we have put together here. We have given here tangent relation and equal relations. We have also given horizontal relation here so as to make the orientation of circle horizontal. Now we will see some more relations here. I'll make one more circle here, put up the value, and to define it with origin, we'll put up the ordinates value also, x ordinate and y ordinate, so as to define the sketch. Now the position of the circle is also locked here, and we have also given the diameter here. Now we will draw 2 circles here first, and beside that second circle also, and give them relation as equal. Now to match their alignments as horizontal, I will put up the relation between 2 points as horizontal. You can also add the relation tangent here now. For tangency, you have to select both the circles and say them as tangent. Now both the circles are tangent to each other, but we have not defined the diameters here. We'll put up one value for diameter, and similar value will be applied for this circle also, as we have given equal relation. Now the circles are fully defined here. Now if I want to make concentric circle, then I'll make one circle here and give and add concentric relation by selecting both the circles and saying them as concentric. Concentricity will apply a common center for both the circles. But still you have to define the diameter here. So I'll put up the value for diameter as 300 mm. Now the diameter is also defined and sketch is completely constrained. Next, you can add lines here. For that I'll make one circle. Say it as equal relation now again. And constrain it by giving horizontal and vertical value, so as to fully define the sketch. Now I want a line here tangent with both the circles. When we start line, we have to avoid this quadrant points. You can see quadrant points here in yellow color, 4 quadrant points. You just have to avoid that points and then start the tangent line. Similar for ending the line also, you have to avoid this point. As if you place this line on this point, it will take coincide relation and will not be added tangency relation here. So avoid these points and put up the line here. Now it has been taken by default tangency relation. You can see here. We'll add one more line here. Suppose if I draw a line in this way, will not take by default tangency. At that time you can manually add the tangency between two objects. Tangency can only be added between two selections at a time. So I'll select the line and circle and say them as tangent. Now this line is tangent, but there is extra line here. So for that extra line, I'll trim it. For trimming, you just have to select the command and drag it over the extra portion so as to trim them and say them OK. Again, we'll draw one circle and sketch here so as to understand the line and circle command. So I've put here one circle with diameter of 70. One more internal circle here. Make it concentric by adding the relation and set the value as 28. On the other side, on lower side, we will also add two more circles here and make the circles symmetric from center by adding one line and saying both the center points of side circles as symmetric with this line. We'll add equal relation to them also here and give them value as 36 diameter and center to center distance 84 mm. Also, we will provide the vertical distance over here, that is 72 mm. And now we'll draw two lines here. First and second on left and right sides, and make sure to put the relation here as symmetric so as to equally define the distances from center. And connect with these two lines by adding one more line here and saying it as merge. Same on the other side. I'll draw this line from quadrant only. Now we'll trim the extra entities and put up the distance here. I'll say it as 30 mm. Now you can see this line is underdefined here. You just have to drag and see what portion is remaining to be defined. Now I can say that this quadrant point should be connected by the line's endpoint. So I'll make line again with quadrant point only and say it as horizontal relation and make sure to trim it. Now the extra portions are trimmed. We'll connect it from lower side also by quadrant to quadrant. Now your sketch is completed here. Suppose if you want to add fillets here, you can go with perimeter circle. First point, second point and third point for orientations. First, second and third point. And then trim the extra entities. And put up the values here for radius. I'll put 8 mm radius here. And say equal to other arc also. Now we'll trim the corners in the center entity. So you can see we have made one profile here. In this way you can work with circles and lines. So this was circle command. Now we will start with rectangle command. To start with rectangle, there are total 5 types of rectangle given here. We will see each one by starting corner rectangle. So the first rectangle is corner rectangle. As the name suggests, it will start from corner point. To define the sketch, we have to give height and width of the rectangle. The sketch is completely defined now. To change the value, you just have to double click and change the value required. Make sure that your num lock is on and then change the value. Second type of rectangle we will take is center rectangle. As it starts from center point, that's why it is referred as center rectangle. So we have drawn the rectangle, we'll put up the dimensions here. Same dimensions, height and width. After assigning dimension, you can see that rectangle is still underdefined. So to define the rectangle, we will repeat the same thing as previously done. That will originate the dimensions from origin to center point of the rectangle, so as to constrain its x direction as well as to constrain its y direction, which is not constrained now. So we'll put up the y value also, that is vertical value, and your rectangle is constrained. The advantage of corner rectangle over center rectangle is that it can be started from corner and can be drawn at one side, but in center rectangle you can draw the rectangle at symmetric sides. Mostly center rectangles are preferred. After that, we'll go for third type, that is 3-point corner rectangle, and fourth 3-point center rectangle. Both rectangles will start and end with 3 points. First type will have corner starting point and second type will have center as a starting point. We'll see first point, second point and third point. As it started from corner point, that's why it's called as 3-point corner rectangle. The rectangle is 3-point center rectangle. It will start from center point, start point and end point. So this rectangle is symmetric on both sides. Now what is the importance of this rectangles is that you can draw inclined rectangles. By using corner and center, you cannot draw inclined rectangles. You have to use corner rectangle, 3-point corner or 3-point center to draw inclined rectangles. Last one is parallelogram, in which all sides of rectangle are parallel to each other, but main difference is that other 4 rectangles were having adjacent sides angle as 90 degree, but in parallelogram you can adjust the angles between adjacent sides. It is not fixed as 90 degree. You can manipulate the values here. I'll say it as 135 degrees. Now to define these inclined rectangles, you just have to put the smart dimension again and say the values from origin so as to locate the rectangle's position first. We will say this corner point from origin as horizontal distance first, then the second distance as vertical distance, then put up the aligned values of its own sizes, that will be its width and height. But still the rectangle is not defined. So if the rectangle or any sketch is not defined, simplest way to understand that why it is not defined is to move the entity. You can see there is rotational movement. So to lock this movement, you can draw a construction line here and give it an angle here. So I'll draw one construction line here and put up one angle here. You can draw horizontal or vertical, any line you required, and we'll say it is 80 degree. Now this rectangle is completely constrained. Same procedure is for defining this rectangle also. Now the next command we are going to say is slot command. There are total 4 types of slot given here. First one is straight slot. So to draw straight slot, you just have to select the option, start it from origin, drag on whatever side you require. I'm dragging it on horizontal side. Click on the point and again second click to define the slot. Now to constrain the dimensions, you have to give center to center distance first, and then you have to define any one side of radius. Now the slot is being fully constrained here. You can see it is showing fully defined. The other type of slot, second type of slot is center point straight slot. So as the name suggests, it will start from center point and will be dragged on both sides symmetrically. Put up the center to center distance again here. I'll say it as 250 mm and any one side radius so as to fully constrain the object. I'll say it as 100 only. Now the slot is defined. Suppose I make this slot other than origin, then again you have to do same things, that constrain it from origin by giving vertical and horizontal dimensions, and then by giving its own dimension, that is center to center distance and one side radius value, and your slot is completed now. The other two types of slots are also there, that is 3-point arc slot and center point arc slot. We will start with center point arc slot. For that, select on the origin, that will be the center point of the slot, first point. Then give the start point as a second point and third point for ending the slot. Now just you have to drag the slot and click on other side. For defining slot, you have to give the center arc radius. Then second you have to give is side arc radius. But still the movement you can see here, the ends of the slot are not defined. For defining that slots, we'll put up here 3 lines, 3 construction lines here. First, second, and the third line here. Now, by mistake, I have drawn this as a solid line. You can convert this line into construction by clicking on the line and saying as make construction. We'll give relation to this line as vertical and put up the angles for 2 lines with the reference of center line. We'll see first angle as 45 degrees and other angle as 60 degrees. I'll undo and again put up the value here. So it is at 60 degrees. Now to stop this movement, angular movement, you have to constrain this point by giving coincide relation on this line. Select the point and line and say coincide. Same on the other side, you have to select the center point and line and say coincide. In this way you can define the arc slots. 3-point arc slot is similar, but only one thing is there, that here the center point is not in a control to position. So we'll start with 3-point arc slot. We'll say first point on this line, second point on this line, and third point we'll say for the positioning here. Now You can see that center point is not in your control, first, second and third, and then slot. To define the center point from origin, we'll put up the values here, one horizontal and one vertical, then going for this radius, side radius, and then center radius, center arc radius. And now your slot is completely defined. As we have already referred this line, so we did not need to make any further lines again. So this was the center point arc slot and 3-point arc slot. In 3-point arc slot, the difference was we have to define the center point position also. So this was the circle command, rectangle command and slot command. We will continue next commands in other sessions also. We'll stop here.